another Hot Girl Reads. So funny. I actually recorded this same thing last night, but I rewatched it and the quality was terrible. So I will be reading this very fast because I still have to get ready. Like I did have a busy day, so that's why I recorded it last night. But when I rewatched it, it was really bad. So that's just part of the content journey. Sometimes you have to do that. Sometimes the content you create isn't good. And in order to give your audience the best possible content, you have to reshoot, you have to redo it. That's just a part of it. But yeah, guys, so welcome to another Hot Girl Read. So in today's episode, we're going to be reading chapter in law 4 and 5. So 4 is going to be, so guys, again, we are reading the 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. Now, two things. The first thing is I know that majority of my audience is not from the USA, so please go ahead and rep where you are from. But if you do use my videos to help learn English or anything like that, and you want to go ahead and learn the enunciation of some harder words, some harder things in English, and learn how to read English words as well, I would really suggest buying this book. No, I am not getting paid to promote this book, but this is kind of what I'm trying to use the Hot Girl Reads for, to educate people, whether you are learning English or whether you want to read this book. I want to still promote this book because I am not the person that created the content within this book. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, with that being said, we are going to quickly read chapter 4 and 5. Now, I did read this last night, like I said, so hopefully I don't butcher many words today, okay? Let's go ahead and get started. Law 4. Always say less than necessary. Judgment. When you are trying to impress people with words, the more you say, the more common you appear, and the less in control. Even if you are saying something banal, it will seem original if you make it vague, open ended, and sphinx like. Powerful people impress and intimidate by saying less. The more you say, the more likely you are to say something foolish. Transgression of the law. Gnaeus Marcius, also known as Coriolanus, was a great military hero of ancient Rome. In the first half of the 5th century BC, he won many important battles, saving the city from calamity time and time again. Because he spent most of his time on the battlefield, few Romans knew him personally, making him something of a legendary figure. In 454 BC, Coriolanus decided it was time to exploit his reputation and enter politics. He stood for election to the high rank of consul. Candidates for this position traditionally made a public address early in the race, and when Coriolanus came before the people, he began by displaying the dozens of scars he had accumulated over 17 years of fighting for Rome. Few in the crowd really heard the lengthy speech that followed. Those scars, proof of his valor and patriotism, moved the people to tears. Coriolanus' election seemed certain. When the polling day arrived, however, Coriolanus made an entry into the forum, escorted by the entire Senate and by the city's patricians, the aristocracy. The common people who saw this were disturbed by such a blustering show of confidence on the election day. And then Coriolanus spoke again, mostly addressing the wealthy citizens who had accompanied him. His words were arrogant and insolent, claiming certain victory, and in the vote, he boasted of his battlefield exploits, made sour jokes that appealed only to the patricians, voiced angry accusations against his opponents, and speculated on the riches he would bring to Rome. This time the people listened. They had not realized that this legendary soldier was also a common braggart. News of Coriolanus' second speech spread quickly through Rome, and the people turned out in great number to make sure he was not elected. Defeated, Coriolanus returned to the battlefield, bitter and vowing revenge on the common folk who had voted against him. Some weeks later, a large shipment of grain arrived in Rome. The Senate was ready to distribute this food to the people for free, but just as they were preparing to vote on the question, Coriolanus appeared on the scene and took the Senate floor. The distribution, he argued, would have a harmful effect on the city as a whole. Several senators appeared won over, and the vote on the distribution fell into doubt. Coriolanus did not stop there. He went on to condemn the concept of democracy itself. He advocated getting rid of the people's representatives, the tribunes, and turning the governing city over to the patricians. When the word of Coriolanus's latest speech reached the people, their anger knew no bounds. Oh my God, I'm trying to see how I like my hair. That Their anger knew no bounds. The tribunes were sent to the Senate to demand that Coriolanus appear before them. He refused. Riots broke out all over the city. The Senate, fearing the people's wrath, finally voted in favor of the grain distribution. The tribunes were appeased, but the people still demanded that Coriolanus speak to them and apologize. If he repented and agreed to keep his opinions to himself, he would be allowed to return to the battlefield. Coriolanus did not appear one last time before the people, who listened to him in rapt silence. He started slowly and softly, but as the speech went on, he became more and more blunt. Yet again he hurled insults. His tone was arrogant, his expression disdainful. The more he spoke, the angrier the people became. Finally, they shouted at him and silenced him. The tribunes conferred, condemned Coriolanus to death, and ordered the magistrates to take him at once to the top of the Tarpeian rock and throw him over. The delighted crowd seconded the decision. The patricians, however, managed to intervene, and the sentence was commuted to a lifelong banishment. When the people found out that Rome's great military hero would never return to the city, they celebrated in the streets. In fact, no one had ever seen such a celebration, not even after the defeat of a foreign enemy. Interpretation. Before his entrance into politics, the name of Coriolanus evoked awe. His battlefield accomplishments showed him a man of great bravery. Since the citizens knew little about him, all kinds of legends became attached to his name. The moment he appeared before the Roman citizens, however, and spoke his mind, all that grandeur and mystery vanished. He bragged and blustered like a common soldier. He insulted and slandered people as if he felt threatened and insecure. Suddenly, he was not at all what the people had imagined. The discrepancy between the legend and the reality proved immensely disappointing to those who wanted to believe in their hero. The more Coriolanus said, the less powerful he appeared. A person who cannot control his words shows that he cannot control himself and is unworthy of respect. Had Coriolanus said less, the people would never have had cause to be offended by him, would never have known his true feelings. He would have maintained his powerful aura, would certainly have been elected consul, and would have been able to accomplish his anti-democratic goals. But the human tongue is a beast that few can master. It strains constantly to break out of its cage, and if it is not tamed, it will run wild and cause you grief. Power cannot accrue to those who squander their treasure of words. Oysters open completely when the moon is full, and when the crab sees one, it throws a piece of stone or seaweed into it, and the oyster cannot close again so that it serves the crab for meat. Such is the fate of him who opens his mouth too much and thereby puts himself at the mercy of his listener. Leonardo da Vinci, 1452 to 1519. Observance of the law. In the court of Louis XIV, nobles and ministers would spend days and nights debating issues of state. They would confer, argue, make and break alliances, and argue again, until finally the critical moment arrived. Two of them would be chosen to represent the different sides to Louis himself, who would decide what should be done. After these persons were chosen, everyone would argue some more. How should the issues be phrased? What would appeal to Louis? What would annoy him? At what time of day should the representatives approach him? And in what part of the Versailles Palace? What expression should they have on their faces? Finally, after all this was settled, the fateful moment would finally arrive. The two men would approach. Louis, always a delicate matter, and when they finally had his ear, they would talk about the issue at hand. spelling out the options in detail. Louis would listen in silence, a most enigmatic look on his face. Finally, when each had finished his presentation and had asked for the king's opinion, he would look at them both and say, "I shall see." Then he would walk away. The ministers and courtiers would never hear another word on this subject from the king. They would simply see the results. Weeks later, and when he would come to a decision and act, he would never bother to consult them on a matter again. Interpretation. Louis XIV was a man of very few words. His most famous remark is "L'été c'est moi." I am the state. Nothing could be more petty yet more eloquent. His infamous "I shall see" was one of the several extremely short phrases that he would simply apply to all manners of requests. Louis was not always this way. As a young man, he was known for talking at length, delighting in his own eloquence. His later taciturnity was self-imposed, an act, a mask he used to keep everybody below him off balance. No one exactly knew where he stood, and one could predict his reactions. No one could try to deceive him by saying what they thought he wanted to hear, because no one knew what he wanted to hear. As they talked on and on to the silent Louis, they revealed more and more about themselves in the formation he would later use against them to a great effect. In the end, Louis' silence kept those around him terrified and under his thumb. It was one of his foundations to his power. As Saint Simon wrote, no one knew as well as how to sell his words, his smile, even his glances. Everything in him was valuable because he created differences, and his majesty was enhanced by the sparseness of his words. It is even more damaging for a minister to say foolish things than to do them. Cardinal de Retz, 1613 16 to 1679. Keys to power. Power is in many ways a game of appearances, and when you say less than necessary, you inevitably appear greater and more powerful than you are. Your silence will make other people uncomfortable. Humans are machines of interpretation and explanation. They have to know what you are thinking. When you carefully control what you reveal, they cannot pierce your intentions of your meaning. Your short answers and silences will put them on the defensive, and they will jump in, nervously filling the silence with all kinds of comments that will reveal valuable information about them and their weaknesses. They will leave a meeting with you feeling as if they had been robbed, and they will go home and ponder your every word. This extra attention to your brief comments will only add to your power. Saying less than necessary is not for kings and statesmen only. In most areas of life, the less you say, the more profound and mysterious you appear. As a young man, the artist Andy Warhol had the revelation that it was generally impossible to get people to do what you wanted them to do by talking to them. Hey, Mo. Where was I at? They would turn against you and subvert your wishes, disobey you out of sheer perversity. He once told a friend, "I learned that you actually have more power when you shut up." Oh my God, thank you. Oh my God, thank you, Mo. I have been putting so much work in it, and I'm really grateful that, someone likes it. Thank you, Mo. Okay, so if you have 48 Laws of Power, you're welcome. Really like your content. Thank you. Hope you upload more. Yes, that is the plan. So the plan right now is to go live and read to you guys once a day. Honestly, I just really want to read this book, and this also gives me a reason to read the book. So if I'm reading it with you guys, it's okay, now I have to read the book. And if you wanted to read the book, you can as well. And then I'm planning on posting a regular video once every Sunday. Now, I don't know if I should try to post like 2 videos a week or something. What do you think? Yeah, like going to do more skincare and stuff like that. Oh, so like more like, like makeup videos or like me talking? What do you mean? Okay. 1 second. Let me finish this page. Okay. Yeah, and I probably, the next video, you'll get the exclusive since you're here. The next video outside of the reading or whatever is going to be like a rant video. So I mean, honestly, I'm just posting. I have so many videos that, like, obviously you see they're really old, but I have so many videos that are coming out that are old content. So, yeah, I can do another get ready with me. I have some coming, some coming. And I'm still vlogging like my current life. So, yeah, right now it's like, you know how a TV show, the episodes are like so many months back. That's kind of how the vlogs are right now because I just have so much editing and so many videos to edit. So a get ready with me will come just for you, Mo. Okay. All right. So back to what I was talking about. In his later life, Warhol employed this strategy with great success. His interviews were exercises in oracle speech. He would say something vague and ambiguous, and the interviewer okay, would twist in circles trying to figure it out and imagining there was something profound behind his often meaningless phrases. Warhol rarely talked about his work and he let others do the interpreting. He claimed to have learned his technique from the master of Enigma, Marcel Duchamp. Another 20th century artist who realized early on that the less he said about his work, the more people talked about it, and the more they talked, the more valuable his work became. By saying less than necessary, you create the appearance of meaning and power. Also, the less you say, the less you risk the run of saying something foolish, even dangerous. In 1825, the new czar. Oh, okay. It's the same as my YouTube. So if you just search up the name, like the same exact name as my YouTube, you can find me on Instagram. Okay. By saying less than necessary, you create the appearance of meaning and power. Also, the less you say, the less you risk you run of saying something foolish, even dangerous. Okay, I will. But if you know, I'm on Instagram, like, so I'll be on Instagram later, but I'll look out for you, okay? What's your Instagram? Okay. I'll look out for them. Whew. By saying less than necessary, you create the appearance of meaning and power. Also, the less you say, the less risk you run of saying something foolish, even dangerous. In 1825, the new Tsar, Nicholas I, ascended the throne of Russia. A rebellion immediately broke out, led by liberals demanding that the country modernize, that its industries and civil structures catch up with the rest of Europe. Brutally crushing this rebellion, the Decembrist uprising, Nicholas I sentenced one of its leaders, Kondratij Ryleyev, to death. On the day of execution, Ryleyev stood on the gallows, the noose around his neck. The trapdoor opened, but as Ryleyev dangled, the rope broke, dashing him to the ground. At the time of events like this were considered signs of providence or heavenly will, and a man saved his execution this way was usually pardoned. As Ryleyev got to his feet, Bruised and dirtied, but believing his neck had been saved, he called out to the crowd, "You see, in Russia, they don't know how to do anything properly, not even how to make a rope." A messenger immediately went to the Winter Palace with news of the failed hanging. Vexed by this disappointing turnabout, Nicholas I nevertheless began to sign the pardon. But then, did Ryleyev say anything after his miracle? The Tsar asked the messenger. "Sire," the messenger replied, "he said that in Russia they don't even know how to make a rope. In that case," oh, it's okay. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for catching the stream. See you later. See you next time. All right, bye. You see, in Russia, they don't even know how to make anything properly, not even how to make a rope. A messenger immediately went to the Winter Palace with the news of the failed hanging. Vexed by this disappointing turnabout, Nicholas I nevertheless began to sign the pardon. But then, see you later. But then, did Ryleyev say anything after this miracle? The Tsar asked the messenger. "Sire," the messenger replied, "he said that in Russia they don't even know how to make rope." In that case, the Tsar said, "Let us prove this country. Let us prove the contrary." And he tore up the pardon. The next day, Ryleyev was hanged again. This time the rope did not break. Learn the lesson. Once the words are out, you cannot take them back. Keep them under control. Be particularly careful with sarcasm. The momentary satisfaction you gain by biting your words will be outweighed by the price you pay. Image. The oracle at Delphi. When visitors consulted the oracle, the priestess would utter a few enigmatic words that seemed full of meaning and import. No one disobeyed the words of the oracle. They held power over life and death. Authority. Never start moving your own lips and teeth before the subordinates do. The longer I keep quiet, the sooner others move their lips and teeth. As they move their lips and teeth, I can thereby understand their real intentions. If the sovereign is not mysterious, the ministers will find opportunity to take and take. Han Fei Tzu, Chinese philosopher, 3rd century BC. Reversal. There are times when it is unwise to be silent. Silence can arouse suspicion and even insecurity, especially in your superiors. A vague or ambiguous comment can open you up to interpretations you had not bargained for. Silence and saying less than necessary must be practiced with caution, then and in the right situations. It is occasionally wiser to imitate the court jester, who plays the fool but knows he is smarter than the king. He talks and entertains, and no one suspects that he is more than just a fool. Also, words can sometimes act as a kind of smokescreen for any deception you might practice. By bending your listener's ear with talk, you can distract and mesmerize them. The more you talk, in fact, the less suspicious of you they become. The verbose are not perceived as shy and manipulative, but as helpless and unsophisticated. This is the reverse of the silent policy employed by the powerful. By talking more and making yourself appear weaker and less intelligent than your mark, you can practice deception with greater ease. Okay, guys, so that is actually just Law 4. I will be doing Law 5 tomorrow. Thank you so much, Mo X, for joining the live today. You get a special shout out, so shout out to you. And yeah, guys, so if you guys want to go ahead and get the 48 Laws of Power so you can read it along with me, I will be going live every single day except for Sunday. I post videos on Sunday. As you saw, I will be having a get ready with me coming soon for Mo. And if you guys do want any more content from me, you know what to do. If you're on YouTube like that, you know what to do. And like I said at the beginning of the video, I will be reading more books. So if you want a book suggestion or anything like that after the 48 Laws of Power, go ahead and let me know. If you are learning English, like I said, I know majority of you guys. Oh, I never mentioned the second thing. So majority of you guys are not from the United States, so go ahead and rep your country. And then the second thing is majority of you guys, like half of you guys, are not even subscribed to you, girl. Loving the videos. Why not help show for this work I'm doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, subscribe. You know what it is. You know how to use YouTube. If you're on YouTube like that, y'all know how to use YouTube. Y'all know how to use it. So, yeah. But like I was saying, go ahead. If you are learning English, get the closed captions on, get the book. We want to make sure that we pay this author. Like, yeah, it is a best-selling book, but we want to make sure that we pay this author for this amazing content that we got. Okay, guys? So, yeah. See you tomorrow.